shoulder kind of is better, but it's still very...
Still funny?
Yeah.
All right. You saw some change though?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely, there was change.
Nice, yeah.
The
You want to work on it again today?
That would be fantastic.
That's fine, yeah.
But yeah, I was doing like more of that protocol with Celia to try and like.
Oh, you were working on it?
Yeah.
Nice. Did you reference the video?
I did not, unfortunately. I should have done that. That didn't even occur to me. That's
Yeah.
a really good idea, though.
Well, so I was actually a little ashamed because I watched the video a number of times and I realized probably because I'm on video that I said a lot. Like a lot.
It's a lot of it, you know, in detail
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, and I don't think that I'm an user
I
in
don't
regular life.
think of you as an person.
Yeah, but I was definitely like, okay, camera,
It is interesting how
I
that
see you.
happens in terms of like reality checks of what you actually
Oh,
like.
yeah.
Yeah.
Video will do that. Okay, come on up here. All right, so Tim is back again. I mean, Tim's our main character of our video series. So, you know, just to kind of clarify what we were doing last week is all these structures, sternum, clavicle, AC joint, there, coracoid process.
That's under
Wait
my
a second.
That's
I get confused. Yeah, so AC joint here, and then coracoid process there, which, you know, pec minor is all the way up in there. Then we've got from the coracoid process, you know, coracobrachialis, right, which is this guy right here.
Ooh.
Yeah, you know, and you've got anterior deltoid, which I think comes from
yeah.
coracoid process. You know, and so when you have an anatomical mindset, you can determine what we're working on and how whatever we're working on isn't how we want it to be.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what it is, how it is now, and how we want it to be, right?
Yep.
So that's the fundamental kind of framework. Okay, and then, you know, like definitely anterior deltoid right here.
Maybe some bicep tendon and stuff
Yeah,
going
so
on.
like the bicep comes up,
Ooh.
you know, almost like underneath a little bit.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I don't know where the bicep should. Is it?
It's
What do
very.
you think about that?
It comes up like kind of in here.
Because I think it comes. I'm not
sure where it
exactly.
ends. I
Yeah.
just know that
See, and this is like if, when you're doing just like the most important component of corrective care is comprehensivity. Well, the three main components is specificity, comprehensivity, and consistency. Right. So if we're
Yep.
addressing issues very specifically,
but also
but in a
comprehensively.
comprehensive manner all the
Yeah.
way throughout the whole
System.
region.
Yeah.
The system, exactly. And then when we do that process consistently over time, it's like, you know, if I did curls every day for 100 days or whatever, I
Yeah.
would probably get bigger biceps,
Yeah, absolutely,
right?
without question.
So we're using that same mindset in a corrective direction. So we're applying corrective impulse consistently, and we're seeing an increase in integrity of structures, tissues, function, balance, all that stuff, just greater integrity of the functioning body.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a decrease in compensation, imbalance, injury,
Yeah.
aggravation, inflammation, X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, just what we did last week made
Yeah.
my sleep better.
Ooh,
so.
yeah, nice. So, yep, that comprehensivity is kind of, you know, the main thing. So, you know, go ahead and turn that way. you know, so we have, you know, his jaw.
Oh.
Yep, there's musculature underneath the jaw here.
I have issues with that part of
Need
my
to get rid of
jaw.
that. I'm sorry?
I have issues with that part of my jaw too.
Yeah. So all this stuff connects into the skull and underneath the jaw. Posterior digastric muscle is like behind the jaw right here. And then, you know, the big boy sternocleidomastoid is like superficial all the way up into the mastoid process here. Kind of the beginning of the occipital ridge. Deep scalenes that attach to the anterior part of the cervical spine beneath the sternocleidomastoid. All this stuff is immensely important so all the scalenes come down and attach onto the first rib, I think the first, second, and third rib, and even underneath the clavicle here. Yeah, so like if you have tightness in the scalenes, it's gonna, you know, like be part of that forward head posture and that like shoulder rounding, you know what I mean? So, you know, deep paraspinal muscles, the erectors, you know, so I can support his head here and compress. I'm kind of got my hand like this. And then when you find that like outer portion of the tissue, that's when you can pinch and then create friction. Okay. So really important stuff all the way around the front. You know, you can kind of come underneath the jaw. Okay, big time stuff. You can do the sphenoid into the masseter. Ooh, sorry about that.
No worries.
Masseter, you know, temporalis.
Yeah, I get tension headaches in those muscles.
Yeah. So just kind of looking at all the associated tissues and structures. Okay, so, you know, and this might seem cliche as a massage therapist, but, you know, this whole, like, in between the scapulas, there's a bunch of tissue, you know, like
Rhomboids,
trapezius,
erectors.
rhomboids, erectors, posterior serratus, levator scapulae.
Those tie into the top of the scapula?
Yes.
Okay.
So this whole like anterior portion down into the ribs, and then the posterior portion, so like occiput, erectors, and paraspinals. Okay. You know, and when I do this protocol this way, I'm just spending a lot of time repeating sections of times, or not sections of time, sections of the body. So like I'll spend, you know, 15 seconds underneath the jaw and on the front. Then I'll switch to the occiput, come to the paraspinals right here. Then I'll be, you know, compressing the thumbs into the rib cage, the vertebral costal joints, and then all the associated tissues. That's kind of what you're aiming at doing, is compressing all the tissue and the joint structures. Okay, so that's where we're seeing that like blending of the tissue and the structure.
Yeah.
Right. Like so, the mobility of the joint is of equal importance as the health of the tissue. They're interrelated.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
So I showed a friend the video, Allie. And it was funny because her phone has the subtitle function
Oh, that's
for
cool.
YouTube videos,
Yeah.
and it was subtitling everything I was saying. I'm like, wow, that's really funny.
I wonder how accurate the anatomical stuff was.
It was very accurate.
That's
I think
cool.
I think last week I was really nervous, so like I wasn't speaking as well as I think I normally do. You know, so, and I think I like declined even as the video went on, because like later in the video the subtitles were missing a lot of words. You know, I was not enunciating and speaking clearly, kind of mumbling almost a little bit.
Yeah, I know how that goes.
Ugh.
It's easy to get quiet really quickly.
Yeah. And we were doing this proprioceptive activity where you're balancing on the wobble cushion with one foot. And it's the weirdest thing because literally you have to use your brain to like focus. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that with speaking. Like what am I actually saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think when you're comfortable, it happens a little bit more easy. But in a situation where you're under a little bit of pressure or stress, even, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny. Okay, so Tim's scalings are way tight. You know, so we could legitimately spend a lot of time, you know, just, you know, like doing this almost like bass string kind of plucking.
Slapping the bass.
Slapping the bass. Come on. Yeah, exactly. Again, it's all about repetition or that consistency. So in the therapy, it's all about repetition. In the course of care, it's about the consistency. You know, so if we were to address this 50 times today, and then we were to do that 20 times total, we're going to see a big change in how this tissue and all the associated structures, whatever amount of restriction is going on in there. Okay, so supporting the pointer finger with the middle finger, kind of being able to do this cross-fiber friction all the way through.
That's a good way to do that.
Yeah. And then just like thumb compression. You can bring the arm forward to open up the scapula on the back side here and take the piezoform and just compress and friction all of the tissues in between the scapula here.
Oh God.
You know?
It's way worse at the top. Right there.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so the last video we spent a lot of time in the sternum, the anterior rib cage, the pec minor. You know, I think we did a little like scaling stuff, but then like coracobrachialis joint capsule.
Yeah, and then this stuff
on the front, and and then we brought his hand up, and we're doing, you know, all this space in between the bicep and the tricep. There's a nerve that comes through here, and then the subscapularis. So that's one protocol. This would be another protocol. Obviously, you'd be doing it bilaterally with Tim, and just because we only have 15 minutes, we're just doing it unilaterally. Actually, today we're kind of doing both sides, but whatever. You know, and then this piezoform
Should I do this again?
friction. Yeah, you can. Either way, it's just two different techniques. So a little bit less opening creates different contact points within all the tissue, and you know, attachment points and all that. And then when you open it up, it's a lot deeper. Both are valuable. Okay. All right, switch sides. Okay, so you know that you're hitting the right spot when people start to, you know, do that.
I just involuntarily jerked away.
You know, and you have to think about what we're doing. We're addressing tissue. Tissue is striated like this, and there's all kinds of funny little like bungled up, you know, stuff in the tissue, and so that bungled up tissue is going to automatically be already aggravated.
Yeah.
And we're looking for those aggravated points. So it good therapy should elicit a sensation. It's not all like happy, feel good. That's has its own set of benefits. Corrective neuromuscular therapy is going to elicit a sensation because we're breaking up, you know, unique or not unique, very specific individual tissue anomalies, including joint restriction. And so the acuity or the specificity is just really determining where the center of these restrictions is at. So that's kind of the main focus. And obviously, no tissue response happens immediately. You know, all these philosophies kind of interrelate, right?
Yeah.
So that consistency is where you're going to see the tissue start to finally open up. that pattern is starting to go away, and that's going to be creating a little bit clearer picture of what actually is going on in tissue and structure. So it requires time to see the change. Specificity, comprehensivity, and consistency. All right, bro.